Hello, good afternoon, students. In this session, I am going to explain about estimation of flood and flood routing. Flood. A flood is an unusually high stage in a river. Normally, the level at which the river overflows its banks and inundates the adjoining area. The flood is the result of runoff from rainfall and or melting snow in quantities too great to be confined in the low water channels of streams. When the banks are overtopped, water spreads over the flood plain and thus cause damage to crops and property within the floodplain of the stream. The damages caused by floods in terms of loss of life, property, and economic loss due to disruption of economic activity are all too well known. It is not possible to prevent floods, but it is possible to prevent or reduce the damage due to floods by controlling the floods. Thus, flood control or flood management is defined as the prevention or reduction of the flood damage. The hydrograph of extreme floods and stages corresponding to flood peaks provide valuable data for purposes of hydrologic design. What are the factors affecting for flood? The factors affecting for flood is first one, intensity of rainfall in catchment area. Second is topography of the catchment. Third is sedimentation of rivers. Fourth is obstruction in the river flow. Fifth is contraction of river section. Sixth is inadequate cross drainage works. And the last one is negligence in discharge observation. The negative effects of flood. There are some negative effects of flood. The first one is damage of property. Second is loss of life. Third one is waterlogging. Fourth is loss of crops. Fifth is disruption of communication. Sixth is rise of price of food grains. Seventh is loss of work. And the eighth one is epidemic. And what are the positive effects of flood? The positive effect of flood, the agricultural land becomes enriched with silt, which has got a good manure value, and hence the yield of the crop becomes high. Design flood. The design flood is the flood adopted for the design of a flood control project. It may be either the maximum probable flood or the standard project flood, or a flood corresponding to some desired frequency of occurrence depending upon the degree of protection that should be provided by the flood control project. Maximum probable flood. The maximum probable flood is the flood that may be expected from the most severe combination of critical meteorological and hydrologic conditions that are reasonable possible in the region. It is estimated from the maximum probable storm applying the unit hydrograph principle. It is obtained from the studies of all the storms that have occurred in the region and maximizing them for the most critical atmospheric conditions. To estimate the magnitude of flood peak, the following alternative methods are available. Standard project flood. The standard project flood is the flood that may be expected from the most severe combination of meteorological and hydrological conditions that are reasonable possible in the region. It is computed from the standard project storm rainfall applying the unit hydrograph principle. The standard project storm rainfall may be taken as the largest storm rainfall which has occurred in the region of the basin during the period of weather record. The standard project flood is usually about 50% of the maximum probable flood for the area. There are some methods for estimation of design flood. Those are the rational method, empirical flood formula. Third one is unit hydrograph method. Fourth is flood frequency studies. And the fifth one is envelope curves. These methods we'll discuss in the next session. Thank you.